guy that came up with that. I don't know whose genius idea that was, but with the midget and the bomb and all that. But I remember Davey after it was done, because Turner Broadcasting had paid all these models and stuff like that. Not models, but like, they were a paid audience to be there, like the girls and the little kids. And Davey goes, "Oh, folk, you could have brought, your friends from school and they would have done it for free." And so I always thought that was kind of funny. And man, my friends from school, they would have loved that and would have been. But I remember Sid from that day, and as I was alluding to earlier, Tokyo Joe first sent him to New Japan, and then he went off to WWF after that. And I remember Davey um, was very complimentary of Sid's work ethic as far as his working out in the gym went. I know that he was very regimented. Like, he might go in the gym in the morning just to strictly do triceps, and then after the show, he might go back to the gym just to do traps. And he said he worked out really. He worked out hard, and he was complimentary of that. And I always liked Sid, and I knew him when I was a kid, and of course, seeing him in person, he's a huge guy and everything, and he was always nothing but nice to me. And I loved the Survivor Series 1996 match that he had with Shawn Michaels, and it was almost like the crowd kind of changed and went babyface with Sid because of just how naturally over he was. And I heard that was maybe going to be Warrior versus Shawn at Survivor Series was maybe the original plan, but obviously that didn't happen. But that moment when Sid won the world championship with the power bomb and the whole angle with the camera and Jose Lothario being hit, I thought was well done. And I don't know if that was Pat's idea or whose idea, but it was a great idea, and it got over. And that moment, just I could feel goose. I watched it a lot before my championship win. Actually, just that you get that feeling of that goosebumps when he finally gets the 3 count. The fans are in shock, but they was like they were happy for Sid too. So God rest his soul, and he was always a cool guy with me.
And I gotta ask you a question as far as a big topic on this channel lately, even more popular than wrestling, has been about all these drone and UAP incursions going on over bases in the US right now, as well as UK bases, one in Germany, possibly one in Guam, I'm hearing. We're seeing them all over. There may have been some stuff in Japan. I'm not sure. Has the story reached Japan? And as someone that's looked into UFOs, do you think what do you think this is? Do you think it's drones monitoring UAP potentially? If it's UAP, if
I
there's
think
something
it's that.
else?
I think it's the drones, you know, trying to pick up and record all that sort of stuff. Like there's, I don't know if you've paid attention to a guy named Dr. Stephen Greer. He's got a
Yeah.
Netflix video, and he's talked about being able to communicate with UFOs when you get into a deep meditation mode. And I really truly believe that he is onto something there with it. And he's been smart enough to know what not to say and what he can get away with talking about and discussing. And he's a very intelligent guy. So I like to um, watch and listen to what his viewpoints are. I might check that out to see what his opinions are on that, because everything else he's been pretty much been accurate about. And I definitely believe that the UFOs are out there, no question, and the government's doing whatever they can to hide it away from the public, because it is what it is. But like Stephen Greer said, a lot of these intelligent life forces are probably not meaning any harm. They're just maybe curious about us. Is is this perspective I like to take on it?
Or possibly monitoring bases to see what the heck's going on under
Yeah,
them because they've
there
now
there you
shut
go.
off
Yeah,
air. They've shut off airspace over,
yeah,
I think, 4 townships in New Jersey now.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, definitely some shady stuff going
That's
on with that. Right?
It's a
Shady.
weird time. There's been a few people ask if Davey or Owen. There's some mention the prank call, but there's been several if Owen ever pranked Davey or you in a story that you could share. I guess you were a little young for Owen to be pranking you, probably.
Yeah, no, he never. No, he never pranked me. I remember hearing the voice recordings or whatever with Davey and Owen messing around in the hotel rooms. Um, and I had heard about some of the legendary, uh, prank phone calls that Owen and my uncle Dean actually were pretty good at. And I heard that Dean had somehow, because this is all before caller ID and all that stuff, and it somehow caused two people to go to court. And the one guy had the recording of Dean actually calling, and what he said, and the judge is going, us, well, there's no doubt about it that this is your voice, Mr. Johnson. And he's going, that wasn't me. And it was actually Dean that was doing. I can't. Bruce or Ross probably might remember what the story was on that, but no, neither of them really pranked me or anything like that at that time. But they talk about a lot of the jokes that they would pull on the guys to pass the time and everything. But no, I never was on the receiving end of those. So
And I gotta ask you, without going into too much detail, back at the Great North Wrestling event in Rockland years ago, where I think you may have won the title, you had this gorgeous French girl that had come from Montreal to see you, and you
yeah,
later told me she ended up
yeah,
like being a
yeah.
serious criminal. Whatever happened to her? That had nothing to
Oh
do with you. I just
no,
remember how good looking she was.
no, it was weird, really weird because she totally disappeared, and then I guess that um, I almost thought it was a joke, but she had gotten stirred up by some guy she was seeing about the COVID thing, and um, with the G1 or whatever from the satellites, and somehow was trying to I guess being an accomplice to him, conspire to try to go down and set one of these things on fire, and got in a bunch of trouble over it. And then she had written me just a little while ago, and didn't mention about any of it. Just said that she went away, and then I said, oh well, it's great to hear from you, and I'll just keep it at that. And I haven't had any communication that but it was totally weird. Yeah, and I never would have expected that out of her, but it was on the news and everything, like I had found. And bizarre, bizarre.
Well, I was impressed you
Pe-
pulled
People
that
people
off.
get people get persuaded to do certain things, and there's people out there that are really good at that, man. And it's I don't know if it's a money thing or what it is, but you know,
Yeah, watch who you hang out with, as you said. Surround
yeah,
yourself with good people. And I got to
exactly.
ask this last fan question here for today. Thank you for
Sure.
giving us your questions, fans. You're in actually Japan now, so I don't know if you could like freely tell the story, but Yakuzas are known for sponsoring wrestlers and treating them very well over there. This guy
Yep.
wants to know if you could share a story.
I don't know anything.
Did something happen though? I will ask you this, and this doesn't have to do with you. I remember TJ mentioning to me something happened with Vader roughing up the son of one. And when I asked Vader about it, he downplayed it like nothing happened. Did you
Um,
ever hear anything about that?
yeah, I did. So first of all, the Yakuza over here, this is all that I'm gonna say is that anything entertainment wise over here in Japan, I believe, is gonna have some affiliation with them. And I've heard that the taxi system is ran by them. But it's you don't really see them around as much as you maybe years prior. Like when I was first coming over here, it seemed like you could see them everywhere, but I don't ever see them now. Like you don't see them in public. So the story that I heard, and I don't want to say anything because Vader's not here to defend himself, was that um, Vader I don't know if he had been cracking over here or he didn't want to be over here anymore, but he had he said that he wanted to go home to see his son's football game or something to that extent, and then claimed that something had happened to him at the hotel where he was jumped, or he had some cuts, or he cut himself. I've heard different stories about it. Um, and said that he was jumped by some sort of a yakuza. Then the story was that he had roughed up a young boy whose dad was affiliated with them, and that story's not true at all. I don't think that Vader. I don't know if Vader made that up to, but he was wanting to he was seemed like story I heard he was seeming like he was wanting an excuse to go home, and he said that and I don't know if he had cut himself or bladed himself, but they talked to him at the hotel, and then they sent him home. So, and if the story is that he had cuts on him from somebody jumping him, if he had done it himself, or he had said that he didn't want to be here anymore. And that's something that, like, I kind of understand that a lot of these older wrestlers that, I guess, after a certain amount of years, like, and I don't want to bring up anything bad from other wrestlers, but one of the Mexican wrestlers, I think it was he was older, like mid 50s when I first was coming back. He wore like the zebra gear, not Dos Caras, but he had wrestled with Eddie Guerrero and all those guys. He came for one of the tag leagues, and I just felt bad for the poor guy, because he was well into his 50s and he hadn't been over here in a long time. And he would just hide in his hotel room and he wouldn't come out at all. And he just said that he couldn't wait to go home. It's too bad if people have that experience. And I think that Eddie Guerrero kind of mentioned it in his book when he came back here, after he left WWE, temporarily, and he had cleaned his life up and everything. And he said that he was cracking here and he had to have Victor Blackcat, one of his friends, continually talk to him and reassure him everything was going to be all right, and was having some sort of anxiety over here. And I can't remember the wrestler who it was, but I felt so bad for him, and he went home and he's never been back. So, whatever happens to people over here if they spend too long or that, but there's no everything's very controlled over here. Like, one of the young boys' dads wouldn't be coming and attacking Vader. Like, I don't know if Vader made that story up or somebody else did, or he wanted to make up a story to go home. But he was definitely, from what I was told by the Noah office, because I asked, was that he was wanting to go home, and they sent him home, and that was the last time he came over here for Noah. And I think he did Vader time and some other companies after that over here. And God rest his soul, Vader was a great performer.
So what's going on
Great guy.
with your next upcoming match? I know you got a break. Someone was also asking about the condition of the title, how that's doing, but when's your next title defense?
Yes, New Year's Eve, this coming up, January 31st. I'll be going up against Saito-san. He was victorious against Miyahara and myself in the finals of the Real World's Strongest Tag League. And I wrestled him in Sendai this past summer, and he's a big guy, and I have expectations that it's going to be a great match. And I hope that I'm victorious and can keep the title and bring it into the new year and have more successful title defenses and have a long title run with it. But I really enjoyed the tag team match we had at Korakuen Hall, and felt, if Miyahara and myself could have another match with the Saito brothers, that, felt like the chemistry was really there. So I hope that, and they're the All Asian Tag Team Champions as well too. So that's one of my goals here also, is if I win the All Japan Tag Team Championships, have won Tag Team Championships would have done it for All Japan, New Japan, Noah, WWE, MLW, Stampede Wrestling, PWA, pro, Ring Ka King in India, bunch of places. So I think I would have been held the record for the holding the tag titles in all major companies. So hopefully that opportunity comes next year as well.
Can we
And I'll be training hard
watch?
for it.
Can we watch All Japan from
Yes.
YouTube?
Yeah, sure. So if you go to www.ajpw.tv, I believe it's 900 yen a month, and that's a unlimited subscription, and I recommend it to any of the American wrestling fans because also there's archives from all the old All Japan stuff from the 1990s and the rare stuff and stuff that was up on YouTube that might have been taken down. So you can check that out on there as well. And yeah, it's been a great experience over here, Devin. Like I was um, telling you earlier. Yeah, there we go. Yep, ajpw.tv. So check that out, and you can also see my Triple Crown championship win there as well. Oops.
You can read that too, right?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Your
I
phone.
said you can read that as someone that's been in Japan so long studying the culture.
Yeah. The crazy thing about the language here. Okay, so there's three alphabets. Hiragana, which is the original Japanese alphabet, which has 46 caricatures in it. Katakana, which also has 46. For every letter in hiragana, there's a katakana reading. And for an apostrophe, that's a dakten that can change the sound from hey to bay or ho to bo or whatever. And then there's kanji, which is the third one. That's the hardest. I can read hiragana and katakana and actually write it. Kanji is mixed with the Chinese alphabet, and there's an unyomi reading and a kunyomi reading for both of them. And just say, for instance, like the symbol for the month, which can also be the symbol for the moon, which is Suki. And that symbol for month can also mean for Monday, like Getsu Yobi. So depending on what follows it after determines what you're going to say about it. And there's like 2,000 or something like that letters in the katakana, or excuse me, kanji alphabet. And I've been trying my best to learn it, and it's nearly impossible. I probably won't ever learn it fully. Actually, most Japanese don't know kanji entirely. That's how difficult it is. But I tell you, doing that after a while, my reading English is is pretty fast. So it's helped me a lot. But it's been a fun challenge, and um, yeah, the kanji's it is really, really, really difficult. Believe me. So, but it's a good challenge for me. And like I said, I love the culture, and um, taking that challenge has been a great thing for me as well. So, um, and also I've been for people that don't know, I'm also big into stone collections. Um, this right here is some Moldavite, and I collect. This is Gibeon glass or Libyan glass, excuse me. Sorry. This is shungite. So I carry shungite a lot of times with me. This stone's from Russia, so it blocks EMF and EMR radiation from you, and it is a real gem, pardon the pun, as far as traveling goes and helping with jet lag because you have a piece of Mother Earth with you when you travel. And you can also leave that in water and it kills bacteria and all kinds of stuff, um, parasites and everything in the water. And so the Power Stone from Russia that was discovered after the Soviet Union and Russia split in 1991. And the U.S. were able to go to certain areas of Russia, and they found the stone, and they go, "Why is this? What's with everybody in the stone near their TVs?" But it blocks out radiation. So I get to learn the Japanese meanings and how to to spell it, and areas of Sapporo and Hokkaido that have obsidian, which is this one right here that I just got yesterday. So anybody that is ever curious, I think that stones and crystals can really augment and bring the best potential out of your life. And after my diverticulitis and appendix removal last year, I had to take on some new hobbies, and learning about the crystals was one of them. And I think that the vibration of the crystals has brought me to my real truest potential, and that's being over here in Japan. And I take some of these shungite sometimes, and I'll use it. They're very powerful tools for meditation, and I meditate in the All Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo ring, and I feel like I have very in-depth spiritual chat talks with Giant Baba. I can feel his spirit inside the dojo, and it's like I feel like he talks to me in there and tells me his vision of what he wants All Japan to be like. So obviously I've been on the right steps with all that, because I've been having great success over here. So hopefully that continues on.
Well, now that you mentioned that kind of spiritual experience, the fans are going to demand that I ask you, have you ever been able to pull that off with your father?
Yes, I have. I'll put it this way: I have a very rare blood type that's shared, same as I believe Donald Trump has it. It's a Rh Rhesus negative. So I have psychic abilities, and I don't want to sound like a quack that I have I can tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl next year or anything like that. Um, and personally, sometimes I've had to step back from um, wanting to know more information about that, because I felt spiritually I was being affected by some bad spirits. And a real psychic will be able to tell you about all that. And you get something called psychic attacks, which is a really bad headache. And to be honest with you, sometimes you don't want to know, and that's why I kind of pulled back on that. And I don't want to ever, or at least at this point anyway, use any psychic work to augment or make money off, because that's just a natural gift that I've been given, and the crystals have been able to open me up to it. So I feel like if I really need to look into something psychically as like a one-time thing to get me out of something, or you know do my work to ask for something important, not just to take it for granted, so to speak. So I have been able to, and I have also pulled back on it in some ways, because a good psychic, they do a lot of work with these spirits, and they open themselves up. And there's a lot of bad spirits. There's a lot of bad people out there that are dangerously hurt individuals, and you need to stay absolutely away from them. And they get like Slimer from Ghostbuster on you, and you can't get them off. So I those are just my views, and I have been able to communicate with him before, but um, I have to just be open to that communication. It's not like I can find it. So, but the stones have helped open me up spiritually, um, and open my eyes up to a whole other realm. And it seems like they've led me on the right path. That's what I can say. It's the vibration of the crystals, and we all vibrate as human beings. So you don't meet anybody, or I believe anyway, in this world just by accident. I believe that there's a magnetic attraction between us human beings and animals, and I have a very strong attraction for whatever reason with dogs, and it's really cool. I love dogs, and dogs. I would trust a dog that doesn't like a person over a person that doesn't like a dog. Put it that way. So
Very interesting. Well, I
yeah.
appreciate you sharing those thoughts with us and giving us your time. Great to
Oh,
see
you're very
you
welcome.
having so much success, sir. And I wish you nothing but continued success. And I'll let you close this off with whatever you want to tell the fans.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Domo arigato gozaimasu. You can check me out at DB Smith Jr. on Instagram and at DB Smith Jr. on Twitter. I have my December 31st, New Year's Eve, first Triple Crown Sankan Heavy Q title defense against Mr. Saito-san. Should be a great matchup. Thank you mostly to the Japanese fans for your support. And when I say I love Zen Nihon, I really mean it. It's not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick or a catchphrase. I really truly mean it. And you guys have been the absolute best support system for myself over here. And I want to have continued success over here in Japan and continue with my challenge of learning kanji as well and the alphabet and learning Japanese language. And I feel like inside I have Nihon spirit. So I want to thank the Japanese for being so acceptant of myself. And thank you for everybody listening at home. And thank you, Devin, for having me on here as well. And
I
maybe
got
in
to
the
throw
new year,
one thing
hopefully I can
quickly
come
in.
back.
I
Yeah,
got a
sure.
quick thing in before you roll up. This is a
Absolutely.
good question. Was Matilda or Winston yours? I know that people want to know this. This popped up when you were talking.
Yeah. So they were. So Davey took care of Matilda and Winston both. When Matilda, the poor dog, she was an old show dog that I think that New York or WWF had gotten her from some agency up in New Hampshire or somewhere up there, and she was bred for to have bred to have other bulldogs. Like she was like a purebred, like a show dog. So that poor dog was just very old by the time she was traveling with my father in Dynamite. And as far as I know, what I know, the dog hated Dynamite because Dynamite was really mean to her. And would feed her well, she liked the hot dogs, but he would feed her that. So she'd make stinks in the ring, and and Matilda ended up biting me on my nose here when I was a kid. I was playing with the little fridge magnets, the little alphabet at BJ's, and she bit me. I got a couple stitches. I was too young really to remember it, but that was kind of the tail end of her career. And then I remember Winston, we had her, but we were living in Florida at the time. And I remember Davey getting so scared that he thought that the dog was overheating because of the heat, and they have the pushed in face. And he grabbed Winston and tossed him in the pool and swam with him and was holding him and just making sure to get him to get some water. And then, we turned the AC on full blast and brought him in. He was okay, but you really have to be careful with those breeds, man, and the heat and stuff like that, because they can overheat and they'll roll over, and that's it. And the other dogs that we've had years later were just more for pets, but they were our dogs for sure. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks again, and I'll just let you say goodbye again. Sorry for interrupting. That was a good thing.
That's okay. Not a problem. Glad to have answered that. Good memory. So, okay. Domo arigato gozaimasu. See you guys all New Year's Eve, December 31st.